All right. So hi, Ayushi. Welcome to the session. And
Yes, sir.
very congratulations for 99.71 percentile in 2022. My first question to you is what inspired you from giving this attempt? You scored 88.42 percentile in 2020. Yes. And
Yes,
then you
yes.
scored 99.71 in 2021. What was the motivation behind it?
Thanks for the introduction. Thank you for having me here, sir. So when I was in final year of my college, I actually completed my engineering in the year 2020. I am an electronics and communication graduate. So from that time, when I was in final year, I knew that this was the field, management business was the field I am inclined towards, and I want to build a career in it. Marketing personally interested me a lot, and I was inclined towards it. So that was the reason I decided to go for CAT, and 2020 was my first attempt. So with 3 months of preparation, I gave my first attempt, and it did not end good because I couldn't practice that much, and also I gave lesser number of mocks. So then I had this within me that I have to get a better score and get better converts, because I had converts last year as well, but they were not as good. So I wanted to go to the top colleges, get a better percentile, and that is why I decided to take another attempt at CAT.
Okay, what was the reason you could not get a decent percentile in 2021? I mean, what did not went well in 2020 and what went well in 2022 in 2021? The major factor that you personally think जिसकी वजह से आपका बहुत अच्छा percentage, because that's a huge gap. You scored 99 in almost all three sections. What was your percentile QA Quant section? Your percentile?
So QA is 98.30.
Okay, and your VRC percentile was
98.69.
And your DILR
99.58.
Right. So you had a quite good percent in all three sections, right? Yes. So I just want to know, as a student's perspective, what did not went well what did not go well in 2020 and what went well in 2021.
Right. So, sir, taking it section wise, VRC was my weakest section. Even when in my second attempt, I had to work a lot on it. So in my first attempt, I just scored a 73 in VRC. Reason
Okay.
being, I did not get enough time to practice. I prepared for around 3 months, and in 3 months duration, I just gave 3 mocks because my main focus was to complete the syllabus and not to attempt the mocks. So this was one of the major mistakes that was there, that I couldn't complete the syllabus in time and therefore attempt the mocks later on. So this was one thing. And RC, as I mentioned, was a weaker area for me and I couldn't give much time to it. Then coming to QA and LRDI was a strong section for me, but since I couldn't practice much, so speed hampered my marks a lot. And in LRDI, I ended up scoring 94 percentile in the year 2020. And coming to QA, although I took classes again from you, so I had a strong base in concepts, but as I didn't practice much, the speed wasn't there to solve the questions. So I remember I just solved 5 questions in CAT 2020 and I ended up with 81 percentile and around 15 marks in the quant section. So okay. In 2021, then I practiced a lot. I improved my speed work on the VRC section, and that is how the result improved constantly, gradually, I mean. And I attempted more number of mocks also this year.
Talking about section-wise strategy, what was your strategy specifically in QA section this year? How did you prepare? And I know you were there in all of my session in 2021. I don't remember a class where you were not present in the session, and your participation was quite good in all the classes that I have taken. I mean, what was your strategy? How you were preparing for QA section? And इस साल QA में क्या किस तरह का confidence था आपका? How many number of questions you attempted? How many number of questions you attempted in the final exam? और कितना क्वेश्चंस प्रैक्टिस कितना किया था, चैप्टर वाइज कितने क्वेश्चंस प्रैक्टिस किए, कहां से प्रैक्टिस किए, कैन यू प्लीज टेल अबाउट दैट?
Sure, sir. So जैसे आपने mention किया, I did classes with you from Unacademy only. So I practiced every question that I practiced with you only because you provided us ample material to practice with. There were past year CAT papers, previous year mocks, and your material, because that was more than enough to solve. So these were the material that I used for practice. Besides this, in QA, I used the round strategy, wherein I we knew beforehand that it was going to be a 40-minute section. So I dedicated round one 25-minute duration total, and then round two 15-minute duration. So in round one, I tried to target as many as I can, but if to give a number, it would be somewhere around 9 to 10 questions for round one, and whatever was left, I would look at it at round two. So in round one, I would attempt the questions that I thought I would be able to do within a duration of 1.5 to 2 minutes, under 1.5 to 2 minutes. So that was the strategy for quants. And as I mentioned, I took daily life classes from you and practiced from there only, and then mocks.
And what about DILR? You scored 99 plus in DILR this year. What was your specific strategy specifically this year? DILR एक बच्चों को बहुत बड़ा issue रहता है. They generally look for sets. They generally feel कि CAT में जो set वो practice में जो वो set कर रहे हैं उनको as it is CAT में मिल जाने वाला है. ऐसा that कि it don't happen, right? Usually concept भी बहुत ज़्यादा match नहीं कर रहा है, right? It's completely a new type of sets that you are supposed to solve in final exam. So how did you tackle the DILR section, and what was your preparation strategy in DILR?
So sir, for DILR, as you rightly mentioned, that the sets we are practicing, they won't appear the same on the day of exam. So the very first thing is you need to have a very diverse practice. You need to practice a large number and a different number of sets in variety as well. And then the most important thing in DILR is to have faith in yourself, have the confidence that you will be able to solve the sets because you have practiced so much prior. So this was the one thing. And in DILR, for the material, I took the live classes with you. I did the daily DIR live, which happened at 4 p.m. during our time. And also the past year mocks, because the sets we get for DILR in mocks, they are usually a level tougher than that comes in actual exam. So for that reason, I also practiced from past year CAT paper just to see that I'm going in the right direction and this is the level of difficulty that actually comes in the exam. So practice is the key in DILR. So you have to be practice, you have to be consistent, because results take time to show when it comes to DILR. So this was the strategy for it.
And when you were attempting DILR in CAT exam, in the final CAT paper, how many number of questions you attempt? किस तरह से आपने sets attempt किए थे? And I mean, how does a selection matters, or is it just any sets that you're coming across? You should be able to solve that set. What was your approach in DILR section in CAT exam?
So sir, this year we had 2 sets of 6 questions each, 12 questions, and then we had 2 sets for 4 questions each. So right. The strategy that I implemented is I went through, because there were just 4 sets. So I read the first one. If I see that it is something that could be done under 7 minutes or like 5 to 6 minutes, if it is a shorter set, then I'll go for it. So the very first set that I attempt should be the one that is easiest in the lot, so that I could get done with it easily and then shift my focus to the other sets. So this was the strategy. And in the actual exam also, the very first question that I read was the 6th set question, but apparently I thought that this one should be the one I should be attempting first, because it seemed easy to me. It was more of an arrangement kind of set, and I was very comfortable in that zone. So I did it first. And this year also I attempted 2 sets, 6 questions each. So I attempted a total of 12 questions in DILR.
Okay. And 12 questions take you to 99 plus percentile. I hope you must be having 100% accuracy.
Yes, sir, 100% accuracy in that.
So it's selection does play a role in DILR section, right? Yes, okay. Talking about the VARC, what was your strategy in VARC?
So VARC, sir, was my weakest section. I just scored a 73 in CAT 2020. This year it was 98. So for VARC, what I would suggest to someone who's just starting, first of all, focus on the RC, because RC comprises of 70% of the whole section. So the very first thing would be to get done with that section and get a hold of RC. And in RC, and here I'm not saying that we should completely neglect the VA section, because it is equally important to score marks in that section. 3 marks and a single question of VA matters a lot. So you have to come to that and practice VA as well. The para summaries that are there, para jumbles and odd one out, we need to practice these as well. And in RC, what I implemented was, instead of selecting the right answer, I focused on eliminating the wrong options that were there. So this was something that improved my score drastically from the attempt at CAT 2020 to this attempt. I focused on eliminating the wrong choices, because it would give an idea of how I was thinking when I was solving the sets. So I could even correct my thought process if I went wrong somewhere, or if I saw that this is the wrong answer and now I'm not scoring well in mocks. So I would have an idea of my strategy and I could tweak it that way. So this was the strategy I used. And then reading is important for VRC, because you need to be very comfortable when you are sitting there, when you are reading these lengthy RCs. So every day I didn't read newspaper, but I used to read articles and editorials from website like Aeon, The Guardian, Atlantic. So this was the strategy for VRC.
That's great. That's great. And talking about the profile, I mean, you got the call from IIM Calcutta, not from IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore, right? So can you please talk about your profile? What was your profile in, the percentage of marks, your academics, and any work experience or internship that you have done?
Sure, sir. So I'm a graduate in electronics and communication engineering. I graduated in the year 2020. I have 89 percentage in class 10th, 92 in class 12th, 82 in my graduation in BTech. So this is my academics. Besides that, I have worked for a total duration of 11 months in 2 different industries. So I have 8 months of working experience in a semiconductor chip solutions company, and another 3 months in an advertisement and performance marketing firm. So this was my profile. And I left my job in the month of October last year, 2020.
Just before CAT?
Yes, just before the exam.
Okay. And talking about your interview experience, can you just take us through your interview experience? You appeared for IIM Calcutta interview, then you also appeared for IIM Lucknow and other IIMs also, and you appeared for FMS also. I mean, just take us through the interview process and how does the profile matters, and मतलब बच्चों को profile develop करने के लिए क्या additional करना चाहिए, just through your experience, what would you like to suggest?
So if someone wants to build the profile, he or she should look for certifications in the field that he or she is inclined towards. Let's say a person is inclined towards finance, then he or she should look towards the CFA exam that is there. Or if someone is interested in marketing or product management, then there are certifications respectively for those fields. But that is not the main concern. A person or a student should first dedicate time to score well in the exam, because that is the main criteria. This thing will come later on, and we still would be having around 2 months of time after the exam to build our profile. And profile is important, because if a person is a fresher, so he or she will be asked this question, that why you are inclined towards a particular field. Then to defend this answer, he or she should be having certifications to tell that this is the field of interest, because I have done so and so work in this field, and that is why I can say that I would like to take up this field when I come to college in future. So this it is important to some extent, but then scoring marks is the first thing that is there. And talking about my experience, so since I had work-ex in 2 different fields, and chip shortage was a very hot topic at that point of time, and I'm from electronics and communication background only, so I had to study that thing. I had to study the advertisement and digital marketing thing as well. So you need to know yourself in and out. You have to why you want to do MBA, which particular field interests you the most. You have to answer behavioral questions like this. So you have to know yourself for the interview. That is the thing. And everything you have studied in undergrad, that is also important, especially for IIM Calcutta, because they ask maths question as well. So you need to brush up on that also.
And now, so we talked about how a student should be preparing on a particular section, right? Quant के बारे में हमने बात कर लिया. We talk about DILR, we talk about VRC. Do you think, specifically, if I talk about, if I get myself back to the Quant section particularly, should student be giving weightage to specific topic? I mean, what is your experience? Because मैं बच्चों को generally यही guide करता हूँ that you need to do 100% syllabus, right? Because you never know कि किस topic में से easy questions आ रहा है, किस topic में से difficult question आ रहा है. And with what approach students should be doing Quant section, because Quant is one of the section जो बच्चों को जो सबसे ज़्यादा tough लगता है, because it has a vast syllabus also. They specifically pick some topics कि यार ज्योमेट्री नहीं करते हैं, सिर्फ अरिथमेटिक कर लेंगे, अरिथमेटिक से इतने नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन इट? आई मीन शुड स्टूडेंट बी सिलेक्टिंग सम स्पेसिफिक टॉपिक या फिर उनको पूरा सिलेबस करना चाहिए? व्हाट इज योर एक्सपीरियंस ऑन इट?
So sir, first of all, as you said, कि पूरा syllabus करना चाहिए because you don't know difficult questions. They come from which section you don't know, and in the paper to score well you have to attempt the easy and the moderate question. You will never be looking at those difficult questions that are there in the exam, no matter how many difficult questions you are trying to solve at this moment. So you have to attempt the complete syllabus, but start with arithmetic because arithmetic is something that covers 40 to 50% of the syllabus. So that is the major chunk, and that needs to be get done first. And towards the end you need to pick geometry and number system because they are topics which require a large amount of time. So after arithmetic you can go for algebra and then probably come towards modern maths and then geometry and number system. So this should be the sequence, and no topic should be left for the exam.
I keep on telling the students the same thing, right? And DILR specifically, when you were practicing DILR, you were attending my DILR live series at that time. Any other source would you like that? Would you let ask students to refer to for DILR?
So yes, I would say past year mock papers and then past year CAT paper. Even if you don't get the time to look at the past year mocks, you should definitely look at the past year CAT papers because there were some questions from which concept came directly as it is in the past years. So that is extremely important. And besides that, if you have enough time, then you can go for past year sets also. There is ample amount of material for DILR. So
Talking about mocks, how many mocks you give, and how does the scoring in mocks matters, and what was the score you were getting in mocks?
So sir, I attempted mocks from two different sources. I attempted a total of 28 mocks during this journey. The lowest I've scored was 33 percentile in the month of October, and the highest I've scored was in the 90s range, around 95 percentile. So for mocks, seeing my own results, and they were fluctuating because mock results are actually fluctuating because we try to implement a new strategy every time we are giving a mock. So scores were very fluctuating for me. I used to stay majorly in the 80s percentile range. So from this, I would say that mocks, because I've seen the paper as well for 2 different years. So mocks are not the actual reflection of how the paper is going to be. Mock is deliberately made tougher so that when you go to the paper, actual paper, you find it a bit easier and you are comfortable there. That is why mocks are made tougher. So mocks are no reflection, and there is no need to get disheartened by the score because even I never scored 99 in mocks, but I believe that I could score 99 because I knew the complete syllabus. I had practiced enough. So you need to believe in yourself even when you get low mock scores, and analyzing the mocks is important.
So mocks are supposed to be given, but you should just try to learn the techniques of maximizing your scores, right? I mean,
Exactly.
and whatever marks you are getting should not be the final reflection of your true actual marks that you are going to get. Okay.
Yes.
Any other advice that you would like to give? I mean, anything that you have learned from me or while attending my sessions that you would like to tell to the students, and any approach that you find good in my classes, would you like to talk about that?
Yes. So, sir, coming to the approaches that I learned from your class, the first one is when we attempted the question and when we were solving quants, we never looked at the formula. We tried to create new strategies always when we were solving question. So that is something I found really great because we didn't have to mug up any formula for solving it. We solved it logically only. So that was a really nice strategy. And in this 1 year, I tried to learn your strategy to solve questions the way you are solving them. And that's the reason I've scored so great in quants, because I didn't mug up anything and I solved it logically. So this is the first thing I learned from the class from you. Then the important thing is consistency. So a person needs to be very consistent if they need to see good results and good scores in mocks as well, because there were times I was not consistent in my preparation and there was a drastic fall in the mock score that I saw. So one has to be very consistent in the preparation. Revision is very important. So every topic that you have studied, you need to revisit it after a week because no one will remember what they have studied a week or two earlier. So you need to revisit the topics, and like there are formulas for geometry, you need to have a look at them every week and brush up on that. Besides this, I would suggest the aspirants to believe in themselves, no matter if they are scoring low in mocks. So you have to take it as a learning opportunity and learn from the mistakes that you're doing, because mock is a place where you are implementing new strategies. You're trying to maximize your score and see which strategy works best for you and which will work best for you on the day of exam. So this will be the second thing. And next, to implement the concepts that you have learned, because we were learning many new concepts when we were in your class, but if we don't implement them ourselves when we practice, then they would be of no use, because we would end up forgetting the concepts that we have learned. So to strengthen whatever you have learned, you need to implement the concepts in different questions that you are solving.
Talking about the level of difficulty of the question, I have seen students, solving a very high level of difficult questions. Even we were solving a high level of difficulty questions, but they were mainly based on the concepts that were the part of the syllabus. Talking about the level of difficulty, किस level of difficulty तक बच्चों को questions practice करने चाहिए? I mean, what's your thought on it? I mean, I am sure that you have practiced questions from my PDF only and any basic material that you were solving. But did you really believe कि एक certain level of difficulty से बाहर जाने की जरूरत है CAT के exam के preparation के लिए?
नहीं सर, आई डू नॉट बिलीव दैट, क्योंकि मैंने कभी खुद प्रिपरेशन में डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं किए. क्योंकि अगर डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं करते हैं तो इट इवेंचुअली डिसहार्टन्स यू दैट यू वर नॉट एबल टू सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन. सो आई सॉल्व द बेसिक टू मॉडरेट क्वेश्चन एंड समटाइम्स द डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन दैट वी वर डूइंग इन योर क्लास, बट दे वर नॉट something new in terms of concept. We were implementing the same old concept, but I never focused on solving the difficult question. Personally, I never looked at the difficult question. You are not going to look those difficult question even in the exam, even in the mocks, so why to waste time solving them? If you have ample amount of time, if you are already done with your basic and moderate level question and you want to solve those difficult questions, then you can go for it. But if someone is a beginner, then they should stick to the basic and moderate level questions only.
All right. That's great, Ayushi. Thank you so much. You're truly a champion for me, that because you're one of those few students who scored 99 plus from my classes. I'm really happy for you, especially when you have converted IIM Calcutta, right? And many congratulations and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks to you.